Thank you all so much for joining this morning. We have a really great session focused around AI readiness in project management. And our facilitator, Layla, is joining us today from Capstone. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate you just taking the time out of your day to do this session. So just a little bit about Layla. Layla is a seasoned senior program manager and strategist with more than 18 years managing complex healthcare infrastructure and international development projects. As a graduate of MIT and Oxford Executive Artificial Intelligence programs, and author of workshops AI for Business and AI for the Public Sector, Layla prepares project managers for future with AI. So you're in really capable hands today. We're looking forward to this session. Just a few housekeeping rules. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A segment. And if you have any commentary, you can put in the chat bar. I'll also still just try to monitor as we go. Towards the end, if you would like to ask your question rather than type it, just use the raise hand feature, which is at the bottom of your screen, and I'll give you access to your mic. Otherwise, let's get started. I'll hand it over to you, Layla. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the warm welcome and introduction. It's my pleasure and honor to be speaking about the topic which is so close to my heart and I'm passionate about. And I keep talking about it in different occasions. So first of all, thank you very much, everybody, for joining. So I see lots of familiar names here, and it's my great honor to be presenting on this webinar. The topic that we will be discussing is talked a lot, but I think I will try to give it more of practical perspective. And let's see, as a project manager, as at the introduction it was said, as a project manager, I will look at it from the perspective of the project manager. So with no further ado, let's dive in. So the introduction was said, little bit about me, which is not written here. Usually you can see all the regalias in my LinkedIn site or just Google me. But what is not there, that I am certified sommelier. I have 2 kids and I'm proud of, the oldest being 30 years old, PhD, and the youngest 4 years old. And the third thing that I have my motto in life, which sounds like inspire, serve, and develop. Whatever I do, including my projects, which I'm executing, and I'm happy to be part of the great team with Capstones, who has an amazing culture after being in corporate life for, I don't know, 20 years and being on the position of program management in the healthcare sector. Such as construction and commissioning, building the IT infrastructure systems for the biosafety level 2 and 3 laboratories, and working with the private and public sectors in different dimensions. I find Capstone projects as one of the interesting and excelling company, and I'm happy to be part of it. So let's dive into the topic for which you are joining. By the way, I have, besides the some of the ground rules that was already mentioned about putting the questions in a Q&A, and if you have any of your ideas, please use the chat. So I will be asking you some questions just to start over you thinking about the AI governance and how it works and how maybe we are executing already, or even just projecting to execute the AI governance in our organization. So here comes the first intriguing question that to think about it. So how many of you have implemented tools in AI tools in your projects for the last 12 months? Feel free to type in, just check in, put your thoughts. And the follow-up question that I want you to start thinking and reflecting on is, how many of you have formal governance framework in place? Just put the plus, just put the yes, 1+1, and so on. So I see chats are coming. It's great. I'm happy to see them. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Tarana. Thank you, Swapil. Yep. Yes, yes. I see Laura, Canva, Grammarly, Copilot. Great. I'm happy to see your responses. So we will be talking about the topics that are familiar for you, but what makes us to talk about the AI governance? And the first thing when I was thinking is that AI governance is now imperative. It's no longer the option. It's no longer something that we think that we may want to have it, but it's the necessity that is here as we continue to execute our projects, to implement our strategies. The first which comes in mind, and probably you already experienced, or most of you, is the accelerated speed of adoption. So it happened so quickly, especially after COVID, especially during the COVID, because we had to adapt somehow to the different environment. We started accelerated adoption. So things are faster than ever. Then we have the regulatory requirements, and we will talk more about this later in the presentation, that the world is developing as most of the fields. This field also is under development. We don't have yet approved laws or regulations, but we have some of the initiatives which shows us the directions in which the legislation is moving. So the third imperative and the factor which affects of development of AI governance framework and implementation of it in our organizations is the penalties which could be associated with those regulations. And we will talk, I will show you in details what could come on the way, included 5% of the global revenue penalty if we are not following those rules. And final is the PM integration. I will be talking as a senior program manager and project manager. We have the power to start integration of the AI governance frameworks, pieces and bits from the initiation till the end, so throughout the project. So we have to understand what are those. So now let's dive in deep into the environment. In project management, I know that most of you are familiar with the PMP certification and PMI methodology. We have two pillars. One pillar is OPA, Organizational Process Assets, and the second pillar is Enterprise Environmental Factor. So I consider the new legal landscape and Bill C-27, which is a successor of Bill C-11, which is I would say currently is killed. It was killed by the Parliament, Canadian Parliament, in January 2025, but it has interesting insights that we as representatives from our organizations and as project managers have to be aware. So first of all, what I want to say, this law is a successor of the PIPEDA. I'm sure you know this is Personal Information Protection Electronic Document Act. So for some of you, I'm sure you're referencing in your procurement, in your documentation. But what I want to emphasize, if it had been adopted, obviously it will never be adopted in its current edition, but if it had been adopted, it would come in full force, finalizing with the final act of IDA in 2027. What it means, the timeline showed us the implementation of 3 years when the first act, Consumer Privacy Protection Act, would be introduced with the basic rules for the organization. And one of the key rules is the assuring that companies require meaningful consent. I'm sure some of you are familiar with this law, but the meaningful consent, meaning that all the terms and conditions and all the privacy and security regulations should be written for the technical and non-technical people and incorporated in our operations, in our project management. And they had the minor, serious, and the violation penalties. Then the next step in the phase is just creating tribunal who would execute and the monitor of the execution, CPPA. Then the last stage of it is IDA implementation, which is already the maturity, high maturity level implementation. And why I want you to just think about it more, because all the requirements which are set in those acts, three interconnected acts which are combined, so-called digital charter, at some point, maybe slightly different form, is coming on our way, and we have to be prepared. So as a project managers, we don't want to be risk reactive. We have to be proactive and in advance preparing for the implementation of AI governance framework. And we will see that there are several researches which shows that the developing of the mature AI governance framework requires not 1 or 2 years, but several years. So we have to be starting somewhere else. So what is implications that we should have? We should enhance the privacy. And what it means for project managers, we should start thinking about this in the during the requirement collection, the increased accountability for and what it means that we have to count for, as the project managers, we have to think more about the resources that we will need for the accountability during the monitoring and control, meaning the human capacity and the financial capacity as well. AI development oversight, we have to have the quality steps, and we also have to plan for it. And of course, legal consequences. So penalties I showed you, which may not realize and which may change, but this is the direction that the world is going. And actually, I am, as an Oxford alumni, I am part of the Oxford AI graduate chat, and we have the Oxford professors who are quite often discussing the need for the legislations and laws. And in line with this, they consider AI governance as one of the key topics for the organizations to be concentrated. And I'm talking from the perspective of the project manager, how I, as a responsible project manager, I love this expression. I don't know if you heard about it, but responsible project manager. I'm thinking about protecting my organization, protecting my customers I'm working with on different projects. So I'm thinking about the framework, how I can implement the AI governance framework. So what it means, in a nutshell, we have to agree on the simple expressions. So AI governance framework is a structured approach for managing AI systems through their life cycle to ensure three main components. Just to remember: ethical, responsible, compliant. In compliance, usually I say safe. So AI governance ensures, it's just like a pitch, ensures that we have ethical, responsible, and safe AI systems in our organization. What components it has? 6 main components: ethical principles, and we will go deep down in each of those. Risk management and ethical principles are really tied up together. We do risk management from the initiation until the closeout of the project, but risk management specifically addressing the AI risks from the very beginning and even addressing those risks and reviewing throughout the project are specific for AI related. Then comes data governance and transparency. Transparency, we quite often talk about AI as a black box. And this is one of the problems and issues we find people not willing to implement, not willing to work with AI. Transparency in our organization, when we know what system is used, how it is used, and we have transparent understanding and explanation for our customers what is being used and what input and outputs are coming. So data governance, we will talk about it more in details. And the last two pillars are, it's a continuous monitoring and human oversight. Can you imagine the doctor, or can you imagine going to the appointment with the doctor and the only robot giving you the prescription without understanding you as a human being? So it's pretty uncommon, and I think for the final decision making, the human footprint has to be there, because sometimes data-driven decisions are always the best decisions, but human flavor into those decisions should be considered absolutely. And the continuous improvement, lean, we all know that we have, in order for the system to become mature, we have continuously, slowly, step by step, do the continuous improvement. And now what in nutshell means that you see this balance, like having one side the ethical principles and risk management. For the ethical principles, three main principles that we have to remember. It's a fairness. We, all our users, all our customers, all our even internal stakeholders should be treated equally. So we have to make sure that the system generates the data which is equal without any age or racial or cultural discrimination. So we have to provide the transparency, how the decisions were made. So in which stage AI was incorporated. And the last is privacy. Yeah, we have to have, and I'm sure most of you, the organizations you represent, already have the privacy and security measures and policies, which are pretty, I work in a couple of projects already in Nova Scotia, and I see the privacy and the safety regulations are pretty inbuilt into the procurement, into the project management. So I'm pretty happy to see this development. The second, on the right side, you see the risk management. This is comprehensive evaluation of the potential. Not, of course, we will have a room for already the issues that account, but potential AI vulnerabilities and impacts. Also, we have to think about strategic risk mitigation plans. Actually, one of the topics that when I see that there are risk mitigation plans, AI risk mitigation plans, but they lack of the accountability. There should be clear accountability measures. So accountability actually is one of the topics which is really difficult to implement. So I would say the third component for the risk management is the proactive monitoring of the system. What it means: regular assessment. How regular? Usually I receive, should it be monthly? Should it be bi-monthly, quarterly? Depends on the maturity of the organization. If you are at the foundation, obviously you will need more scrutinized, more close monitoring and regular assessments, but it should be planned in advance. The second pillar is transparency and data governance. And here is where the project managers come into the play, where we can influence as a project managers. Document decision making. How many of you, just put in the chat, are documenting decision making? I see very rarely. It is discussed during the meetings. Of course, I understand Otter and Firefly and different tools are collecting all your meeting minutes, but who keeps track and how we keep track of the decision making? What decisions and why they were made? So this is where I see we as a project manager at each stage should be proactive and documenting how the decisions were made. And we also, it will help us further to monitor how compliant we are. Thank you. Thank you for putting your comments in the chat. Yeah. Yeah, the PMO I work with has a decision document. Yeah, Prachi, I appreciate your comment. This may not be the case in your organization, but I will take the liberty and say that sometimes it happens, not often, but it happens that we have in the organization policies, we have organization tools, templates, plans, you name it, I don't know, documentation which are read and put on the shelf. This is as simple as we say. Are they implemented? Yeah. Are they enforced? So how we monitor the decision making. The second is interpret outputs. What I like about implementing those steps is that we have to create simple ways. Simple. One of the topics actually in the bill C27 is that anything that is put in the AI should be simple and plain language, so everybody understands it. So when, for example, you see the huge consent document, how many times have you just hit the button, standing consent, because nobody is just giving the feedback that do you like all the data sharing points or not? You just accept or not. So you don't have much choice. So the simple explanation should be for everybody. So all should understand. The third, for the data governance we talked, is the regular audits. So regular audits, we talked about it should be scheduled, and we have to look for the biases. We look for the test performance if we are developing, if we have a project which is developing the software. If we are not in that process, still we are implementing AI and we need to test the performance. But initially we have to set the goal, right? And we also have to verify the compliance. As a project managers, we are implementers. We are not setting the rules. AI governance is a setting of the rules, and we will see who is the responsibility, obviously, it is to set those rules in place. But we, as a project manager, should understand those governance frameworks to implement them by the execution means. Like, for example, kickoff meeting. What should I be talking about in the kickoff meeting as a project manager and focusing on? So this is one of the pillars of the transparency. So then the last, data quality. We know all, it's very old saying that garbage in, garbage out. If we do not ensure the quality of the data, output will be the garbage. And actually it is in direct correlation with the next two framework top components. It's a human oversight and continuous improvement. So we need to have these quality checks, data quality checks. And first we need to define the supervision roles. We have to have established team who is, and it should be committee, multifunctional. It shouldn't be only the technical people, shouldn't be only the business, or shouldn't be only top C-level. It should be diverse to ensure that we really have authority and we have implementation in place. Actually, it warranties us the adoption of the framework in all levels. Yeah. So the next is the intervention mechanism, like when we should interfere, when we just say the leverage the kill switches, when we should override the capabilities, and what is the protocol for the escalation. We have to have an understanding. Our people should have an understanding, and it drives to the next topic. By the way, just yesterday I see the Dom and Carl on the call from my company also, that we talked about the staff training, as you name it, you can call it staff mentoring, but we have to have the AI literacy in our workplace. AI governance won't happen without our staff, because we are one single body in organization, and we all know how difficult it is to communicate with each other, with the customers, and especially when we're talking about AI governance, we haven't done it before. We don't know why do we need it. So I have enough projects to carry on, and customers to work with, but we have to be mindful and plan the staff training, performance evaluation. We have to have the evaluation. And I'm not going further into this, because if you do not evaluate, how are you going to measure the success? How are you going to measure the maturity? So next question coming to your way. So who should ultimately be accountable for the AI ethics and governance in your organization? I would love to hear your opinion, because I've heard so many conflicting ideas, so many different ideas, that, well, C-suite is willing to implement AI governance, but they are the lower level, the management level, the specialist level, they are not willing. Who do you think is responsible? Everyone. It is very good theory. Thank you, Laurel. Thank you, Emmanuel. Everybody, when you are project manager, when you assign a task, when you do the RACI matrix, yeah, when you do the responsibility assignment, if everybody is responsible, do you get the job done? As simple as that. Okay. Okay. In this presentation, I wanted to cover the landscape that we are operating right now. Also, I wanted to talk with you about what is the AI framework and what it entails, what pillars it has, and we talked about those 6 pillars. And now we need to understand why my organization needs it. And actually, we want our organizations to succeed, yeah? Because I, as a project manager, believe that any project that I create delivers huge value to society. So I think we have to care about our organizations. Why? I do remember that all of you have probably heard Simon Sinek's famous whys. So this is why our organization as a living organism also needs the AI governance framework. First, competitive advantage. We as an organization need to position ourselves as an ethical organization. And this drives to the next priority for the organization, is the operational excellence. We will have not only smoother AI development, but efficient project management, efficient capacity using, efficient resource management. And we all, I think, agree with that the speed of the project execution and development has tripled after the Gen AI has been introduced. And I think we all understand it. Then after that, you will earn stakeholder trust. When you have sufficient transparency, how are you doing? How you're going to those decision points? It builds the trust, not only with the customer. It creates trust within the organization as well. We do need the trust within our organization, within our stakeholders, key stakeholders, because we are the organization, right? And then, even though there are still not very, but PIPEDA is still in the act, we have to comply with it. We have to be compliant. And risk mitigation, last topic. I would call my today's session, the webinar, as a attempt for us in the organization for the risk mitigation. AI governance in its essence, and the reason why you are here, the reason why I want to hear this is the risk mitigation for the risks that you are aware. We talked about the symptoms, about the legislative symptoms that are coming. Nobody will be so surprised. Oh my gosh, so now you know it was supposed to come. It was somehow canceled, but nobody canceled it for forever, right? It will be coming. So we are here to mitigate risks. Now, how are we gonna implement all those? So I am project manager, and I know that I eat elephant bite by bite. So whatever big project we have, we make it in parts. The first part is the foundation. And foundation, of course, all those steps depends on the maturity. We all know that we have to consider the maturity of the project management in the organization, maturity of the company itself or organization itself. But the basic first step, and actually this is what we talked with our colleagues yesterday, and the plan was just assess the current state. What we have now. Who understands what? Who uses what? Who expects what? And why? So we understand our internal, yes, Dom, values determine ethics. Values are set by C-suite. Exactly. I could not agree more. But the first step in the process of adoption of the AI governance is assess where we are and what are our goals. And goals should be smart. Yeah, should be smart and actually agreed with all of the members of the team. Then establish the governance team. Usually when I used to work with the big public companies, they consider this as additional resources to be hired, an additional department. No, and we all understand that this is an agreement that governance team inside with the capacities already in place, but it's a declaration of the focus of the organization, how important it is. Misusing the technology. Yeah, this is the question of the trust. When you don't have, Daniel asked the question, what is the limit of those worries that makes men when it are the parties missing the technology, misusing the technology? Well, this is the all about the trust and stakeholder management, I believe. Let's continue. The third pillar is develop policies. I usually see the policies which are just for the ISO sake and which are just there, but I know it's in the policy, but we not really following those policies. Yeah. So how many of you have heard that? We want simple, easy for everybody to digest and follow policies which are explained and communicated well enough to everybody engaged. This is the key. So nothing, it shouldn't be huge. It should be comprehensible. It should be simple and plain to use. So assess where we are, where we want to go, what are the goals, then establish the people who will, we know it from the change management, the team who will be enforcing and be our champions in that journey, and then develop the, that's simple. Yeah. Can this be done by project management? Not always, but we can start talk about we'll talk about the steps that project managers can implement, at least to raise the questions, raise the topic. The second stage, it is just becoming more mature. When we talked about this is a foundation, it's the entry level. And depending on the maturity, if you already passed the entry level, you will be in continuous implementation of those 3 steps. And then we need to integrate. Integration into the PM work. We have to clearly state in which project life cycle at which stage should be AI governance checkpoints implemented. For example, would it be design stage? Would it be development stage? Would it be the planning of the plans? For example, one of the tools which I envision as a very valuable concrete tool to be implemented. We project managers develop project management plan, which includes from PMP and PMI, which includes communication plan, quality management plan, scope, I don't know, procurement plan, etc. Any plans that are developed during the planning. And why don't we just develop data governance plan? Just have it as a rule, as one step. We raise the voice for the need for the data governance plan. And we can have a template which will be modified for specific projects. Yeah, training programs. Again, we talked about staff training. This is the staff training program partially can be done at the foundation level, as a foundation, ground rules like prompt engineering and very basic stuff. Then you need to make it more mature and intermediate. Then we have to define clear monitoring mechanisms. What tools we are choosing, how we are checking the health of the AI systems, because without these health point checks, there is no continuous improvements. And as you remember, one of the framework components is the continuous improvement and transparency protocols. Decision making will be one of the key topics in the future, and I think it is right now. We have to have the protocols of the transparency, explain the results, how we achieved, how we got to that point, specific point. And now we are moving to the last refinement phase. This is a dream. I brought some of the statistics from the MIT and Boston Consulting Group researchers, which started in 2017 and then just evolved in 2022. It's about the responsible AI and AI governance. And one of the topics which I loved about it, that you can, in the best case, you can achieve this phase 3 refinement in 3 years. Considering that you have all the support from the C-suite, considering that you have all the tools and mechanisms and so on. By the way, it is very, I recommend to go and check this survey. It is conducted it was global, among 1,093 companies whose annual revenue is $100 million. It's about big companies, but we have to also, some of you are the representatives of the big agencies, mid-sized companies, small boutique-sized companies, but we have to adjust and adapt based on our needs, right? And we all know the recipe doesn't work for everybody. So we have to create the clear feedback channels. And in project management, in change management, you name it, we need this communication between all the stakeholders. It is difficult, but if we plan and if we strategize it, we can get there. Yeah, also, we have to monitor these enterprise environmental factors and know what is going on around. So I keep an eye on every news that is coming, every development. I am just I'm like project manager executing on the ground some of the projects, and some would say, why do you care about watching what is reviewed in the parliament or what happened with at the prime minister's office? Well, I do, because I know from the methodology and from my experience, at some point, any decisions about the regulations that were made up there, they will affect my project. And I want to mitigate risks and implement in advance the steps that my projects just succeed, right? The fourth pillar, I think we started late, so I think I'm managing time well, right? So we want to build ethics into the design from the start. So from the very beginning, at every step during the initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, control, and closeout. Yeah, and we have to create simple response plans. This is the final, which should dictate the clear steps. I love the expression. It should be so easily written that your 15 or 16 years old would understand what was the discussion about. If he or she would not understand, it means that you have to refine it. You have to make the quality of the response plan better. So then, okay, I'm here. We are at the foundation level. I'm project manager. What can I do personally as an individual? How can I think? Well, we understand that this is the C-suite decision and I cannot really do anything. Yes, we cannot change world in one day. Well, some can or try, but there are some things very technical, practical, which I recommend you to think about. And here is our famous life cycle. We have to, or we can, implement some ethical guidelines, considerations. It shouldn't be huge. It shouldn't be overwhelming. It should be clear for our customer, sponsor, implementation team, the ethical guidelines in terms of AI we're following, and it should be included in the project charter. I don't see any project without project charter, but if we will put it there, it just highlights the importance, right? The next, what we can do is just create the team. I cannot imagine any organization C-suite which will be against of creating such a governance body. So I encourage you to start discussion as a project manager. Just you listened today, I came and attended the webinar. It was underlined the importance of having such a team, the committee for AI. Can we have the same just to discuss how it is developing? And I know my organization is moving on that because we discussed last week, this week, that we need to have this team, and I'm so pleased to be part of it. And also we have to assess at the initiation, just assess risks for biases. We can do it at the organization level as a project level. Yeah, we have to assess risks for biases, assess risk for privacy, and I understand that when we have the privacy team, they are responsible for it. But as a project manager, I am team member, and I am also responsible for the privacy because I'm ethical and responsible AI project manager, right? And also we have to have transparency. Which tools, what standard tools can be used? The planning. I mentioned already data management plan. It's so easy step for us to suggest and implement. Well, now then I will always receive, well, I have so many jungling priorities. The customer wants this plan, I'm working. So now I'm creating additional work, but this is for your person, well, your individual risk management about as project manager. Yeah, you need to have a plan how you will be managing data. And we all have data in our organizations. Would it be internal, working with the customer? Yes, when we work with the customer, they have their own plans, but sometimes they don't, whatever. Yeah. The second, in the planning stage, we have to specify how we will explain the AI decisions. How we will explain AI decisions or suggestions. Yeah, we have to plan the governance at 30, 60, 90% of our project development. Would it be development of the new soft, or would it be just project stages, execution? Test for biases for different user groups. We have to test it. We have to test it. This during the execution, project execution. Also, we have to create small flowcharts for the visual people, like myself. I'm always like, can you create it in Miro? Not because I'm pain in the ass, but I'm sorry, but because I want to visualize it. I want to see what comes next. Can I see it in some of the tools that give me better understanding how the decisions, what are the points that decisions are made? And it is even better for the team to understand it. And also, we have to understand when human is involved in the decision making. In the big AI systems, of course, it's much difficult, but for this, the more basic tools, I think it is much easier for us to implement. And of course, monitoring and control. We have to track how premature it is, doesn't matter, but we have to trust maturity will come. We have to trust how dependable. We will learn, but we have to start. We have to verify if there are any corporate regulations, I'm sure, but at one project, I asked for the checklists of the regulations. Do you have a checklist in your organization? Checklist, simple checklist, which is transparently available for everybody, what regulations you should be following. Just simple, one pager, maybe 10, 15 items that is transparently available for everybody in the company, and they know by heart where it is. And the final, lessons learned, retrospective, whatever you want to call it, you can call it, but we have to record any improvement, any near miss in construction, they call it, any near miss, you have to document. I call lessons learned as a salt for the food. Some may don't like salt, but still, I think it gives the final accord to the food when you have a salt. So actually now I urge you to think out of those tools. And we talked about the mentioning about the importance of AI governance in the kickoff meeting. We talked about the putting in the charter. There are some concrete specific steps, even discussion, what you as a project manager can do personally to ensure that your organization is up to speed, or even going to the next level of the maturity. So we have these three phases which I showed you. Yeah. And this is the actually final one of the studies I talked about by the MIT and BCG. It started actually in 2017, but the real results were received, which was studied. They continuously do the studies. It was received in 2022. One of the interesting outcomes here is that 84% of the leaders do believe that AI governance should be prioritized, yet only 56 have implemented it. Okay, we already have a gap there, right? You believe, but you are not doing, you are in a C-suite. The second is that in reality, out of those 56, only 25% has a mature, responsible AI frameworks and programs. And out of those 25 committees revealed that 79 had limited implementation. This is the response to the question which I asked above. Who should be leading the initiative of AI governance? We, project managers, are implementers for our project and for AI governance frameworks. And of course, also the study revealed that 58% more success is achieved when CEO leads the AI initiatives and truly believes in it. And maturity timeline. We talked about timeline. It takes 2-3 years minimum to become mature. So we have to start now. As a project managers, we can start leading the AI framework implementation. Key takeaways, and then if we will have time, I take the questions. So what we can take from today's discussion? It's imperative. We have to have some level of maturity governance framework. And we have to it should be in the organization, and at some level it should be integrated in our specific project management. Yeah, we have to agree on the basic guidelines, basic ground rules. Yeah, we have to agree on assessment tools, and we have to have a team focused, dedicated for the AI. Obviously, this is the technical team. Obviously, this is the legal team. Obviously, this is the business, different support departments, everybody. And usually in the organization, you see who has the initiative, who has the passion for it, who wants to engage, who is, as a person, developing all the time. Yeah, and then integrate into the workflow. Yeah, implement bias testing. You have to try different tests. Mino, thank you. Thank you for being here. Yes, I know it's 10:04. And the final, we have to track. We have to decide what matrices we are using. So thank you again. It was very short, very short. I hope you understood why it is important, what is happening in the environment, what I, as a project manager, can do, and what can be taken from me as a project manager to my C-suite level and highlight the importance. I see. Thank you. Usually I love the interactions. I usually enjoy the interactions, what I share. Thank you everybody for participating. Digital Nova Scotia, is there help I can get for the questions?
Yeah, so you've got some questions here just around the recording, which we'll be able to share with folks later on this afternoon. But yeah, it's a lot of thank you. Seems like
Laurel, thank you. We have been working on AI. Oh, great. Great. So you are the creating the committee. Good. Hey guys, you're from Georgia participants. Katiana, thank you. Dom, thank you. Duja, thank you. Oh, I'm glad. I hope I inspired you. I hope I made you think. I hope I laid it. I love structure. So when there is a vague and not very understandable thing, I want to make it clear and unbundle it. Oh, Daniel, you're from Brazil. Hi. Hannah, thank you. Hannah is also here. Great to see you. Amin, thank you. Swapil, thank you. Renato, where are you from? With the plan, simple communication. Yeah, I like it. Knowing what's happening around is absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
okay. Well, we'll end it off here. Thank you folks so much for joining us and for interacting and engaging with the session. Thank you so much, Leila, for such an informative session. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. This is really, really good. And I think everyone else who's on the call agrees. If you'd like to connect, please do. Are you on LinkedIn?
Yes, if anybody wants to connect with me, I am on LinkedIn. Just as my name and last name, you will just notice. Unfortunately, I don't have it here. My bad, but yeah. You can find me and follow me through the capstones. So you can see me in the capstones. So just follow our link on LinkedIn on capstones. We try to share the news. So, oh, Daniel, thank you. You're so quick.
Very efficient.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, folks. Well, we'll end it here. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
You take care and thank you for this opportunity.
Of course.
I love the audience. Okay.